Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Racing Insiders podcast. I'm Kate Dillon from Crate Insider, and of course, I'm here today with Steve Hendren from Hendren Racing Engines. And Steve, so tell us, how's your week been since the?
It's been okay. But I'm thinking we need to pause a little bit and it happens a lot of times on here. I've been noticing this with a lot of podcasts I watch, is YouTube has got a delay now.
They all have a delay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Honestly.
Yeah, they all have a delay. But for the benefit of our podcast listeners who are going to listen after the fact, just a reminder for anybody who is listening afterwards, we do go live on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. We used to go at 8, but now it's 7 p.m. Eastern, trying to catch some of that daylight so we can be outside here on the patio. There's actually a hill behind us. This is just the curtain so we don't get weird glare, because that's the western sun behind us, and it can create like a backlight. So
correct.
So that's why we just like to shoot in this direction. I guess we've shot the other direction.
Well, middle
before.
of summer we'll probably switch.
It's possible.
Direction,
yeah. So it might get darker and darker as the show goes on, for sure. But
to answer your question, it was a good week. I mean, got stuff out the door, got stuff done. So anytime we can do that, it's a good week.
Good. I'm
not as fast as what we want to, but there's just limitations to what one can do in a week. So.
It's 2022.
Yeah.
I mean, 2022 is...
of course, we're running into supply shortages on everything. So that's also an issue. But
oh, and don't forget about price increases.
Oh, the price increases? Yeah. It's stupid.
Yeah, it is. I'm definitely looking forward to the times ahead where we can have stability in pricing. That's what and stability in supply as well.
Yeah. I don't see in the foreseeable future. I don't see that it's happening, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's hard to say. So if you're here with us live, drop into the comments, say hi, tell us where you're from, and if you have any questions, that's one of the reasons why we're here. It's actually the main reason we're here, of course, is to answer your questions live on the show. Correct. Have there been any questions that you've been receiving this week?
I mean, nothing. Well, this week. I mean, today's Monday, but within the last week.
Yeah, since the last show.
Honestly, not a whole lot. I mean, I had a question today from a guy asking if I sold matched rocker arms.
Do you?
No.
I know. I saw your post last week.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah, it was a joke.
I do sell matched valve covers though.
Oh, it was matched valve covers that you were.
That's what I saw. No, I do not sell matched rocker arms.
Yeah, just so y'all know, that is not even a thing.
It's a scammy place trying to make it into a thing, which is why I got the phone call today.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's for 602s, so it's a stamped steel rocker arm.
Yeah.
No, there's no reason to sell matched rocker arms. If anyone thinks that 2,000 or 3,000 worth of valve lift is going to equate to even 1 horsepower, they're, unfortunately ill-informed. And I would like to sell them the Brooklyn Bridge.
No, I don't want to sell them anything because I won't.
I really don't, because I don't scam people out of shit.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's what it is. It's a total scam. Just another marketing ploy. I mean, this company's stolen, the skylight thing, all sorts of stuff. I mean, they're a bunch of...
It's not worth mentioning.
No, it ain't worth mentioning.
No.
Bunch of crooks.
It happens. Yeah.
Yep.
And no racing this weekend, but we did watch the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, that was badass.
It was.
Holy shit. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I won $8.
You did.
Not because my horse won, because I finished second.
Right.
So I had the highest finishing horse. So I won $8. I was all kind of happy.
Yeah, we were just kind of picking off the list. It actually surprised me that there was that many horses. I didn't realize that many horses started in the race, 20 something. That was a lot of horses. Amazing. For sure. Yeah,
for that horse to win, I just thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimate come from behind freaking victory. And that jockey and that horse, they were just covered in freaking dirt.
Oh, it was amazing.
It was totally cool.
Yes, definitely. And again, you guys feel free to drop in into the comments, say hi and leave us a question here. So we love answering questions on the show. Actually, that's like 90% of our show is just answering questions.
Well, hopefully. Yeah.
So feel free to drop in.
Now's kind of the time where, we're off the clock and it's like a little bit more laid back and,
Well, I'm super laid back.
I'm not aggravated, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so. I'm super laid back because I decided that I'm taking a vacation this week. So
yeah, you are.
I am. I'm on vacation.
You're doing a staycation.
I am. Yeah, I don't know, probably go somewhere sort of out of town, but like day trip or something.
Right.
But I just really, really needed it. So that's where I'm at.
Well, you learned to weld yesterday.
Now I'm super excited about that. Yes. So I met the folks from Pit Weld U. They're in Mooresville, North Carolina. I met them at the Cars Racing Show, and I found out that they offered not just, they've got welding degrees and certificates, and they do testing and training, and they do all of that, but they also have workshops. And this was a half-day workshop, and the coolest thing is I went with my dad.
Yep.
And, I was a little worried.
Who can actually weld?
Oh, my dad's my dad is MacGyver when it comes to that stuff. So my dad can make something out of anything. He's master fabricator, welder, he's really incredible. So, I was a little worried that it was like, hey, this is all going to be review or something. But no, he's like, you always have to be open to learning new things. And he's like, yeah, I learned something,
Absolutely.
It was good. There's always something. And he really liked the material. He really respected the materials that they provided.
And I'll be honest, I looked at what you welded and you actually did a pretty damn good job.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And
I'll be editing a video and putting it out on my channel, just talking about the experience. But, it was just really cool connecting, being able to do something that I've wanted to do for, I don't want to say my entire life, but probably most of my adult life, ever since I saw artists that did some welding with their sculptures, because I'm not going to be your girl to like fix your chassis. I'm
not going to let you paint.
I've actually gotten better. I'm okay with that. Whatever. I'll be painting my creations here. So,
okay.
But anyway,
I'm just saying your welding was better than the painting I've seen in the past.
Well, thank you. Okay. Well, you're talking about spray painting. Yeah. I just try to get spray painting over with because it hurts my hand. So seriously.
I hear you.
Yeah. No, I got tendonitis really bad. So like pushing like buttons and stuff is just tough.
Right.
Tough. So anyway, but welding was really cool. So I learned enough to,
I don't know. You push my buttons every now and again.
So my new welder is in the van right now. So
yes, yeah, you bought a welder.
I did. Yeah, it may have been my first time, but it will not be my last. So then I've got to figure out a whole. And I was looking at welding tables online today.
Right.
Yeah, because that's the next thing I have to have.
There you go.
I already have my gloves. Dad bought me a pair of gloves.
Nice.
They're really cool.
Awesome.
And I have a helmet now. I just have to go get some gas and a welding table
and some boots, so you don't burn through your shoes.
Oh.
When you get a little slag or something.
Yeah. Well, I have hiking boots, so those will be fine.
That'll work.
So that's not a problem. Not a problem at all. All righty. So we got some folks here. I see Mike is here. He says, hello, Kate and Steve from Waterloo, New York.
All right.
Finger Lakes wine country.
Nice.
Well, that's pretty cool. I grew up in Waterloo, Iowa. So that's interesting that there's a Waterloo, New York. It looks like Dwayne has a question here. Yeah. He says, I just bought a 14 race-old 602. It has button seals. Valve springs supposed to be 3 races old. Ran in a modified. Going to run in a late model. What are some things I need to check before I crank it? It is sat for about 4 months.
It depends on how it was stored, honestly. I mean, one of the big mistakes I see when people store engines is before they shut them off, they don't, put any sort of lubricant in the engine to lubricate the cylinder walls and the piston rings. So a lot of times engines that have sat that long, they'll have the cylinder walls have a little bit of rust in them or something like that. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot you can do about that scenario, but what I would do is probably squirt some oil in the cylinders, honestly, with the plugs out. And I'm not talking like a quart of oil. I'm saying like squirt some oil in there with like a squirt can and, turn the engine over by hand and hopefully get some of that rust where it's not going to like wipe the rings out the first time you start it. Beyond that, you know, honestly, fired up, I guess.
And is that going to fall out the plugs?
Yeah. The oil, it's going to foul. Yeah. I mean, don't be using,
So you have
the
to
plugs you're going to go race with. So
change
yeah,
the plugs.
but I mean, the idea of having the plugs out when you do that is, you're not like putting a ton of oil in there. You're not putting a half quart of oil in per cylinder. I mean, you're squirting some oil in there, and it's still going to foul out the plugs within, initial startup.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, we got from On the Bars. Tell me a little bit. Tell me a little more about the 602 carb on the restrictor, where to get, and the size.
I don't understand.
It may have been what we talked about last week with the. Remember, we were talking about a 2-barrel carburetor, and
I remember.
Okay.
All right, so
maybe refresh the folks. Who
I think it was like a 1-250 restrictor plate. Maybe.
That's right. Yeah.
So I recommended running at least a 1-250 or smaller center section. So if it was me, I would run like a 600 center section on that. Now the question is, does it have to be a OEM, meaning a Holley center section, or can be like a billet center section or whatever? I don't remember if we covered that or not.
I think it had to be. I think it had to be a standard. If I'm not
if
mistaken.
It is a standard, then I'd run an M600 on the damn thing.
Okay.
Honestly.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
That's what I do.
Mm-hmm. All right. Mike says,
well, the other part is like, where is the restrictor plate? Is it on the base plate of the carburetor, or can it be under the, spacer you're going to run, things like that? So if it's under the spacer, then I would run a spacer that is tapered to the restrictor plate. If it's got to be under the carburetor, then I would run that 600 center section for sure. Now, it's going to take some dynoing and dicking around with, but I think that would be your best combination, in my opinion.
Cool.
That's just based off something I've never had to do before, because we don't run under that kind of rule, but that's just my first thought.
Just conceptually.
Yeah.
All right. Mike says, I run a 1/4-inch carb spacer. Is that better than a 1-inch? Now, Mike has not said if he has a 602 or a 604 here, but maybe give us that answer on both of those scenarios, Steve.
Like on a 604, what I found is that 5/8 carburetor spacer that HVH makes is about the best. They also make like a 1/2 inch. I'm not a big fan of the 1/2 inch one. The 5/8 one I actually like. As far as like a 602 goes, I don't know of any 1/4 inch carburetor spacers. So if there's something out there that I don't know about, I mean, please tell me. But yeah, the 5/8 on the 604 is like normally the way to go.
And a 1 inch on a 602 with just
1 inch on a 602 with a center divider is what we would normally run.
Mm-hmm. Great. Oh, and I see Robert says, finally caught an episode. Yeah, well, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And back to the 602 carb with the restrictor. On the bar says, we are a CT4412 and they're under the spacer.
Oh.
So it sounds like they have to have a 4412 carburetor, which is standard Holley.
Well, then I would have a spacer built to taper to the restrictor. Absolutely. I mean, that's the way to go.
Cool. That'll work. Now, are you finding that with the engines that are coming in, are you selling more 602s or 604s?
Honestly, it's been about even. Of course, selling anything right now is an issue,
right.
As it has been, since last year.
Yeah. Demand, I should say. What is the demand looking like for you?
The demand, I'm going to say, this year it's probably been 50-50. I think 602s are probably a little bit higher demand than what 604s are.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So, yeah.
Well, cool. All right. Oh, and with that whole 602 carburetor and restrictor, he says, we have a bunch of dumbasses, 6500 chip and the restrictor plate. Well, I mean, we'd normally say a 6400.
64 is what we turn, yeah.
But 6500 chip and the restrictor plate.
Yeah, I mean, 65. I mean, you're pissing in the wind, honestly. I mean, that's like such a bizarre set of rules, though. I mean, I don't honestly know of anything that we deal with where that is like the rule.
I think it
So
was asphalt.
I'm curious where it's at.
I'm guessing it's asphalt.
Right.
Yeah, and out west.
Yeah.
Is my
I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, Robert says, we spent the last year wrenching and learning on a 604 late model, and now we're running a limited motor.
Cool.
In the process of building a street stock now. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. Oh, gosh, thanks so much.
Anytime.
Absolutely. You know, it reminds me of with street stocks, if you're really looking to level up your game, one thing that I think we've both been really proud to be involved with is the Race Logic chassis schools. And that's not even my company or anything. No. I've just gone and filmed those, and just the knowledge there. If you really want to level up your items for street stock, go to racelogic.vip. Great classes, just incredible instructors. Yeah. You know, Ben Baker, and on the street stock side, we had Justin McCree, we had Robbie Bilbrey, who's shock builder by night, NASA engineer by day. Yeah. it's like insane the amount of knowledge that we're able to bring to that. And Wade Cross on shocks, just great group of people. Yeah, no, and I mean the idea of racing is always progression, in my opinion. So going from 604s to limiteds, that's great. I think that's awesome. You know, I think, excuse me, I think that anytime you can afford to progress is a good thing. Nowadays, like affordability to have that option to do that is limited to quite a bit, I think. Agreed. So, well, a lot of times your decision is made for you based on what you're even able to race in your area. Though. Correct. Well, and that is true too. That's that's been certain areas where that's all they're going to run, and limiteds are going to be, you know, right. Have priced themselves out in a lot of places. They're coming back now, or they were coming back like gangbusters for about 2 years. It'll be interesting to see what happens with like all the shortages on everything and the tire situation and everything else, how that actually works out. You know, but I think, I mean, maybe you correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think with some of these limited series, and not trying to paint with a really broad brush here, but there's just a little more wiggle room with like tire selection and things like that. There could be. I don't know. It's not something I pay attention to. So, I mean, part of it is what can you even get these days? Right. I mean, parts. I mean, what can you get? Right. And maybe just a little bit less restrictive in that standpoint. So there's some availability because they have the ability, the limited. Well, I mean, the thing I see a lot is, I don't care whether it's super racing or limited racing or whatever. I mean, a lot of these guys around the country, not naming locations or anything else, I'm just saying, a lot of guys are like one broken rod away from running a crate motor. In other words, if they're running a limited or a super or whatever, one broken rod on a $50,000 super motor or one broken rod on a $35,000 limited motor, I mean, that ruins your whole damn year. So, you know, a lot of our customers that I see that we've had here in the last few years, that honestly, that's what happens. So they got an engine failure of some sort. Like, oh shit, I can't afford to fix it this year. Going to go crate racing. So they go crate racing. Then they go back, you know, a year or two later when they can afford to fix the actual engine. Yeah. And Robert's got a great point. He says that jump to limited was a big change, and was shocked how many suspension changes had to be made to get the car to handle the same way because of power delivery. Oh, absolutely. Suspension's huge. It's massive. It's massive. We went we went and tested with my son's shock guy. Probably a month ago now. And then he raced 2 weeks ago, I guess 3 weeks ago for the first time. Yeah. And just what we learned in that one night of dealing with him and everything, it's all about shocks, honestly. It is. Yeah. It's gone that way. Yeah, it really is. Suspension is the number one. Well, the number two thing, because I think the number one thing is still maintenance. It's still just. Well, I mean, you got to finish the race to win the race, right, obviously. But as far as performance goes, performance-wise, the shock thing is just so huge right now. And that's what's so big in the Race Logic chassis school stuff. I mean, this year we did, of course, the dirt late model or crate late model and the street stock, and it was so suspension heavy for sure, because that's the most important part for sure. And and Mike says back to the 1/4-inch spacer. He says we run a dirt car Sportsman here in New York. Bicknell Racing Products sells 1/4-inch spacers. We had a 1-inch, and we're told that 1/4-inch is better. Seems to be better, but wonder what you thought.
I still don't know which engine. 602 or 604.
I think the dirt car Sportsman tells me it's a 602.
Okay, I'm just not familiar.
If it's a crate.
No,
because I'm not sure.
No, the 1-inch with the center divider is the most power that we've seen. There's very few applications where we've seen anything be better than that.
But we haven't tried. I mean, have you tried the 1/4-inch Bicknell?
I have not, but it's a 1/4-inch, and on the asphalt engines that we've tested where they have to run straight on the intake manifold, my guess is going to be it's going to suck.
And he said it's a 602, just like I thought. Yeah.
But I mean, that's my guess is going to suck because a 1/4-inch from being on the intake manifold ain't much.
But it could also be shorter tracks too. Like quarter-mile track.
Potentially. I'd have to look at it.
I'm a Bicknell dealer, but I hadn't really dug into their car spacers. So
I mean, my guess is no.
Gotcha. And on the 602 with the restrictor plate on the bars and he says no dirt, and SE Eastern Ohio is where they're located at. Gotcha. Robert says I've seen a few of their videos come across YouTube and we're amazing. So that's cool. Thank you. I'm gonna blush over here. Doug's here saying, hey, Kate and Steve, thanks for joining us here tonight, Doug. Absolutely. And on that, making that switch to limited, Robert says shocks and rear gearing made the biggest changes for us.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. That's a question we get a lot is, hey, I'm going to such and such a track. Like, what gear should we use? Like, I don't know.
I freeze the race car.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's such an art. Yes. Yes. Oh, and Craig's weighing in on the conversation about the spacer. He says a 1/4-inch seems to work better on small tracks, more bottom end torque on that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's
being in the South, our situation is so different.
Totally different. I'm guessing when I'm saying this, just like I said before, but yeah, my best guess is no, but I'd actually have to test it. I don't know because I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just different combinations, and we don't even have any of those short tracks down here.
I know on a 604 with a single plane intake manifold, no, the 5/8 works best. Not the 1/2-inch. So I would assume a 1/4-inch isn't going to work any better because nobody makes one. As far as the 602, the biggest thing that I've seen on the 602 in our testing is that stupid ass center divider, which rounds off the damn dual plane intake manifold where it goes dead square there in the middle. On the asphalt stuff that we've tested where they have to run the carburetor straight on the intake manifold, no spacer, it sucks. So again, don't know about the 1/4-inch.
It's all an experiment. Yeah.
Well, it's not an experiment. I mean, it can be scientifically proven, but it's not something that I've had the opportunity to scientifically prove this works or this doesn't work.
Yeah, but an experiment is a scientific thing, is what I'm saying. Well, I didn't say you were guessing. Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing because I don't know.
Right, so. Yeah. Stu is here from Australia.
Yeah.
Says, good day, guys, from across the pond. Yeah. I mean, literally on the other side of the world where it is. If it's 7:30 here, I think it's maybe 6:30 where Stu's at. So, yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely. Gosh, I haven't even looked if Australia's gotten any source or any sense of normal, or if they're still in lockdown. I don't even know.
Well, that's not on the news now. It's all Ukraine. So.
Well, no, Ukraine was so 2 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks ago, yeah.
So
that's right.
Yeah, now we have Supreme Court, and
that's right.
And my whole YouTube feed is either Supreme Court or Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
that's
true.
it. So, but I think we're on a 10-day break of that one. I think they're not coming back till next week.
Okay, so we'll have like 2 weeks of Supreme Court.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to say. I don't even know. I'm already over it.
Yeah.
I'm just over all of it. I didn't even turn on the TV today.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, are we not at a war still?
Well, I do know my brother-in-law is coming from Australia.
That's exciting.
So he'll be here at the end of the month.
Cool.
So this is my son Alex's uncle.
We'll have to have him on the show.
Yeah, we'll have him on the show.
Well, he's a big
He'll enjoy it.
He's a big Formula One fan.
Well, we're going to a NASCAR race in Charlotte. So He's coming for that and all that. So that'll be fun.
Speaking of Charlotte, I believe the XR series is this week at the dirt track in Charlotte.
Oh, well, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, so if you're find yourself in the North Carolina area, I don't know that I'll make it down there since I'm on stake. I don't know. Who knows? I'm making no plans on my staycation
because Alex is supposed to race if it's not raining.
Yeah,
and I think there's like 70% chance of rain this weekend, so we'll see.
Gotcha. And Craig mentions, he says, talking about shocks, they are huge. We have a shock guy real close to us and a pull down machine. Best money you can spend.
Oh, I agree. 100%.
Wow. That's having a pull down rig close by.
That and data acquisition.
Huge. Well, especially now, I think this is the time for data acquisition to shine because, it used to be that.
And we actually bought a system from you for Alex's car. The data acquisition. So
yeah, because of the number of laps it'll save going to the track, and just the gas it'll save going to the track, and or learning as much as you can when you're getting just practice laps.
What you can learn with it, and then you're able to actually communicate real world numbers to the shock guy. Yeah. So that makes a huge difference.
And Stu says that back in Australia, they're pretty much back to normal, just living with it now. Yeah. So good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Oh, Jeremiah Reed is here. He's got a long one. And Jeremiah, I want to say that I've noticed your YouTube channel. You're doing some cool stuff over there, and your TikTok. I just started following you over there. So Jeremiah does a great job with some video, you guys. So check out what he's been doing on YouTube and on TikTok, especially. Just those are the ones that I'm on. So
I got you.
So he says, I got a question for Steve because I'm stumped. The car gets hot in a matter of a few laps, like 220 in 6 laps from 140. Plugs look good. It's a sport mod open motor, 36 degrees of timing, 77 jets on a 4412 2-barrel, same as last year with no issues. Jones pulley setup, 5.875 inch water pump pulley, 5.5 inch crank pulley. Was running Jones 3-blade fan, switched the race fan 4-blade after the first night. Radiator is brand new. Running restrictions in place of thermostat. What else should I check? So if he's running hot with all these things.
What kind of fuel are you on?
Oh, and he's in, I believe Jeremiah's in Iowa, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's going to be gas? I assume.
Yeah, if he's, with a 44 2-barrel, that tells me it's sport mod.
So I'm assuming it's going to be gas of some kind. It's going to be gas.
Yeah. But we'll find out in a minute here.
And a sport mod's like an open wheel modified car, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be he's going to compete with like the 602 modifieds.
Okay.
Would be my guess.
Right.
So you got like A mods and sport mods.
Yeah.
So we'll find out the fuel here in just
first thing I'd do is take the damn restrictor out of it.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing.
Especially if are you running a double pass, single pass, or triple pass radiator?
And he's running the 91 pump gas, no ethanol.
Yeah. What radiator?
Okay. Because I don't think he just says it's brand new, but we'll find out. Yeah. So triple pass could do that as well. And we always recommend a double pass.
Yeah, double pass, no restrictor.
Yeah. But we'll wait till Jeremiah responds here and try to get to the bottom of it.
And then the other question is it pushing water?
Yeah. That's a big one that you always look out.
Well, that's honestly, we've solved more guys' issue with asking that question than anything else, because I've had guys call me and go, oh man, this thing's running 250 after 10 laps. Well,
and it's a double pass.
Double pass. All right, take the restrictor out, because you do not need a restrictor with a double pass radiator. The actual double pass itself is enough restriction. So pull that thing out. That'd be the first thing I'd do. And what was I mumbling about before?
Well, the fuel you were asking about.
Well, fuel. I mean, no. Now I know that. But the other common thing that we run into,
pushing water.
The pulleys are fine. The other thing is, like, what do you say? 230, 220, 220. It should be pushing a little bit of water just from expansion. If it's not pushing water from expansion, then I would look at the gauge, because what we found here in especially the last 3 years, all these gauges are coming from fucking China, and they suck. And we have found so many bad damn water temp gauges. It's ridiculous. I mean, the calls I get every day from guys going, oh man, this thing's running hot. Okay, well, check the gauge. By meaning check the gauge, put it in boiling water, make sure it's accurate. Get a call back. Oh, yep, gauge was screwed. Bought a new gauge. Oh, yeah, no, it's running 190. or 180, you know? So.
And you always
I would
say don't
certainly
worry
check
about
that.
it unless you're pushing water on that is what you.
And I mean, quite honestly, I mean, if you're not pushing water, it can run at 220 all day long. The other thing I would look at would be the radiator cap. Make sure the cap is suitable for the radiator. We ran into a rash of problems years ago with a couple different radiator manufacturers out there that were where the cap seals, that gap between the cap and where it bottoms out on the O-ring or the rubber piece,
gasket thing,
gasket deal. It was too tall. So you might have a 25-pound cat that's blowing off at 15 pounds. So I would certainly check that. Gosh, there's just, like, as far as cooling goes, there's just so many things to go over. That's the most common things. Your pulleys are fine. Both fan blades should be fine.
What about running a shroud?
Depending on diameter of the fan and whether you got a shroud or not. I mean, I would certainly run a shroud and have it a tight fitting shroud with either the 3-blade or the 4-blade. Other than that, gosh, it can be one each, anything else. But I would check those things first. 9 times out of 10, honestly, it's been the gauge in about the last 3 years.
Jeremiah says you might push out a water bottle's worth after I shut it off.
Okay, that's normal expansion then. So, I mean, that's not surprising to me at all. So I would check the things that I just listed.
Cool. All right, Andy is here. He says, I don't know if you've answered this question before, but I've seen where different places are selling the true 1.5 rockers because on the 602s, they're of a very wide range from 1.3 to 1.5. Yeah. I think somebody asked you about that on the phone today, and what happened when they asked you that?
Well, I didn't mean to make the person feel bad by any means, but I laughed at him. And again, I just didn't. I thought it was a joke at first.
Yeah.
But no, whoever's telling that is completely full of fucking shit. So you're talking about a stamped steel product. So that stamped steel product, you're going to have a variance. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have a variance in anything stamped steel. Is it going to equate to anything more than, let's just say it equated to, let's just say you had one rocker that checked at, 425 lift, and you had the next one that checked at 430. Does that equate to anything? The answer is no. So, in other words, like, I don't care whether you have all 16 rockers checking at 430 and then 16 more checking at 425. That's not going to make 1 horsepower, 1 foot-pound of torque difference, period. So all this stuff where people have made special machines and did all this crap to check rockers, they're full of shit. You're certainly not going to be throwing rockers away. And by the way, unless you know how to check this shit, how the fuck are you going to believe them? Because I can tell you, I can send you a set of 1.3s today and tell you they're 1.5s. Can you check them? Are you going to be able to check them? I'm going to say 95% of the racers out there can't. So you're just trusting me to send you something that I say is, marked in green or marked in yellow or marked in red.
And you're talking about what was it, like 20,000s or 2,000? What was it?
5,000s.
5,000s. Okay. I mean, that's and what is the size of a human hair?
Now, well, 3,000s.
Okay.
So the average human hair is 3,000s thick. So take that and add, 2/3 of another human hair to it, and that's what we're talking in total lift at the valve.
Well, and we're talking about stuff that just rambles around like crazy.
If anyone understands airflow, 5,000s is not going to make a shit bit of difference. That's why when people test heads on flow benches, they don't go 5,000s at a time. They go 100 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference between a true 1.5 and a 1.52 or a 1.48 equates to nothing.
Well, and it's just not
zero.
But it's not a static thing in the fact that these are going to move.
Well, it's not static either because you're also dealing with a fucking hydraulic lifter.
Right.
So you got a hydraulic lifter that somehow you're worried about gaining or losing 5 thousandths worth of lift. I'd be more concerned about the oil you're running and how well that lifter stays pumped up than I would be about the difference between a 1.5 and a 1.45 rocker, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, maybe we need to have like a factor crap video. So this is where I need one of those spotlights.
And I'm not jumping on you for asking the question. I mean, but this shit gets on my nerve. Not your question, but the shit that gets on my nerves is people out there outright fucking scamming people. And it fucking pisses me off. I made a post on Facebook after I got tagged in this shit that these assholes fucking posted. I made a post on Facebook, which is actually, you can go to my Facebook page and see it because I made it public, that I am selling matched and rated valve covers along with matched and rated freaking valve cover breathers and hose clamps.
But my question is,
it's just fucking unbelievable.
But here's my question, though.
Like this.
Well, but hey, I mean, are you at least going to throw in a quart of blinker fluid with that?
I could.
Okay.
And the next thing I'm going to come out with is a fucking muffler bearing for our damn anti-reversion mufflers. And I ain't jumping on you, man. I'm sorry. No. I just get passionate about certain things, and that's one of those things I get passionate about because I despise people just outright fucking ripping people off.
Well, actually,
and that's exactly what I see.
Well, that was the motivation for starting Crate Insider in the first place, was to really put rumors and myths to rest and try to give the best, most accurate, factual information so that the folks that were saying ridiculous things weren't taking advantage of racers. So that has always been at the heart of any of the tech stuff that we do at Crate Insider, any of the tech articles or videos or anything. And of course, now we have a podcast and show. And there's certainly a certain segment of society out there that's going to take advantage of anything they can take advantage of for profit. Now, Ryan is asking, I mean, did you sell out of the match valve covers yet?
No, I did not. Thank God nobody bought them. And they actually read the fine print at the bottom saying, this is an actual joke. Yeah. Please do not buy any bullshit where people say it's matched and rated and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Now, back to Jeremiah's question. I'm talking about cooling. He's running the Dominator shroud. So that's a good shroud, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it works. It's functional.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can hand fabricate one that will be better.
Mm-hmm.
So I would certainly look into doing that if you have any kind of fabrication skills when it comes to aluminum or whatever. Yeah. But
and I see Jim is here saying good evening, and Dave's like, educate the listeners. Yes. and Andy says, kind of what I thought. Thanks for answering the question.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. And again, I wasn't like trashing you for asking the question by any means. It's just like I was not trying to trash the dude on the phone today.
Yeah.
It's just I get so passionate about that shit that it fucking drives me crazy when people just outright rip people off.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening. And the bad part about it is the uninformed, which hopefully I'm informing people, the uninformed are going to be the ones who pay the price. And they're going to definitely pay the price because there's going to be dudes out there going to buy this stuff. And to me, it's just sad. Apparently the doorbell rang, so. Well, I don't know what's going on out there. But at any rate, no, so if you want to look at something funny, go look at my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, and look up my match valve covers. Because, I might get lucky and sell a set.
You're on your own on that. I'm just telling you.
God knows that would never happen.
I know. Jeremy's here. He says, wish they would put an anti-pump up lifter in the 602 motors.
Yeah.
Anti-pump up lifter.
Right.
I don't know anything about those. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because, it's still, 602s are still basically a truck engine with a different cam in it. and some other little changes here and there, but that's essentially what it is.
Yeah. And Zach is here. He says, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Loving my new anti-reversion mufflers. Can definitely tell a difference. Zach, I'll bet you can hear the difference.
Well, you'll definitely be able to tell the difference. I mean, no matter what the application, we have yet to put those on anything where they don't work. And this is not like selling valve covers or matched fucking rocker arms.
No, right.
This actually, I only promote shit that works.
Yeah. Yeah. And the only other things that go on to the Crate Insider site is if it's non-performance, and I just think it's cool and shiny. But if it's performance, but if it's performance,
cool and shiny
it's always
is good
vetted.
too sometimes.
I love cool and shiny. So I love things like my pit bikes and my GoPro mounts and all of that kind of stuff. Yes. Oh, and I'm about to be a premature promoter here.
Uh-oh.
I usually am not. Usually I'm
usually
kind of say you're usually the one that does that. But I do have exciting news. We need to update the website. But you told me what came in today.
Got a whole pallet of Kaiser wheels.
Yeah. And those have been a long time. I mean, these were ordered in February of 2021. And I have to just go through and just double check of what we're actually receiving before I can update the website. But I see that happening probably tomorrow. And I think the majority of them these are all going to be wide 5 aluminum. I think the majority of them are going to be beadlocks with black centers because the powder coated black.
It's a popular one.
Yeah. And I don't know how tall this pallet is, but it's a good number of wheels.
There's an assload of wheels on this pallet.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Well, I mean, they're big. They kind of seem like they take up more room there, whereas other things are like Jello, there's always room for more, but wheels you can't.
You're talking 16 by 16 boxes. It's 4 high.
Yeah. Okay. That's not.
That
makes me, I'm so
bigger than normal.
That's very. But just big, huge congratulations to Kaiser for getting their production. And for anybody who doesn't know, their plant burned down in March of last year of 2021. I can't even imagine the challenge of trying to put together a factory in this 2021, 2022 time frame, get production going and all of that. So, and because I also need to double check on the pricing, see where we're at with that. So there's a couple of things that I have to do, but I would expect in the next couple of days or so that we'll have that updated on the website. And I'm so thrilled. I'm happy for Kaiser. I'm grateful to get wheels for sure. So it's just a little bit of hope here.
Yep.
And Jeremy says, how are the 85 thermostat kits going? Excited to save some fuel.
Okay.
I have some things from Art, and I need to find out how these pieces go together.
Yeah.
So pretty much what I have right now in a box is different pieces.
Which we can show you.
Yeah.
But you still need to talk to Art about the pricing and everything.
Correct.
I believe,
it's not like it's already comes together in a thing. I have to negotiate all of that.
The problem he's struggling with right now, and I don't mean to speak for him, so if he's on here, he can speak for himself, but because a lot of times he'll be on here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem he's running into right now is raw material.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like us dealing with like center sections on carburetors that we build and all that stuff. Right now, it's fluctuating so crazy that there really is no set price on a lot of this built aluminum. And so it's going to vary quite a bit from shipment to shipment. Haven't seen anything go down. It's always going up. But they don't know what they're paying or what their cost is until they actually get the material in, get it processed. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we don't know.
Right. Because
the next batch might be higher. It's absolutely insane right now.
Well, and and every manufacturer is struggling with this. And so, I mean, and I'm sure I know there's a lot of talk out there, not necessarily in racing, but just in the consumer level in general, that retailers are absolutely just, taking advantage of consumers.
Yes.
That's not it. It's just tough. I mean, the manufacturers are getting hit on the back end with these material increases, the raw materials, and they're just trying to kind of, you can't be upside down. And as a retailer, I find that sometimes my wholesale price is now what my retail used to be. So, like all I'm doing, I am just doing my darndest to try to keep up with these price increases. And
look at 602 and 604 engines for
going up $1,000. Yeah.
Well, it ultimately equates to more than that, but
right.
it's unreal.
Right.
So
And it's all of the different components that are going into that.
these price increases within the last year have been just astronomical.
And I would say a larger,
to the point where you can't keep up with it.
Well, and the larger part of it, yeah, and we can't. And we've got a pretty decent tracking system. I mean, I'm not a big player like Jegs or Speedway or like those guys. Well, but if I'm a small retailer, but
well, what I can tell you,
simple.
What I can tell you is a year ago, I could sell you a complete package deal, 604 crate late model engine, blueprinted out of the box, where we go in and blueprint the engine, reseal it with Crate Racing USA or Rush Seals, and this is like a plug and play. So I'm selling you everything but a race car. Mm-hmm. So everything engine related,
like carb to headers,
but a race car. At that point, it was $14,800.
Okay,
for everything.
Carb to headers.
Today, it's $16,500.
Ooh, ouch. Yeah, and it's all of those incremental price increases throughout the whole thing. Here's a question right here. Team 12 Racing says, is there any advantage to the digital MSD box compared to a chip MSD box? What are the differences other than price?
I have seen no advantage to either or. I mean, I've got customers running both. So no, I have not seen that. Now, we did have a customer come in the other day and dyno with us. And the reason he came in dyno, as a matter of fact, he drove for I think 8 hours away, is they had a digital MSD box, and somewhere between the box and the distributor, which it could have been either, because I've seen this happen both ways, the polarity ended up being reversed on his deal because they had nothing but, missing problems and all this stuff. So we actually ended up reversing the polarity, solved his problem. He went out and won literally that next night.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
Where they've had nothing but problems for 10 races trying to fit. They've replaced everything. So no, I don't think that there's a difference between the digital and the analog. I mean, both are out there. Both are running successfully if they're actually correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Scott's here from California. Hi, Scott. Yeah. And Scott does some really cool paintings and amazing works of art. So check him out. He's got some cool stuff over there. And another Scott says, can your average mechanic freshen up a Burt transmission?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. It's not like rocket science by any means. Not as compared to, I don't know, like I think a power glide's more difficult to go through than a Burt transmission. So yeah, no, the average guy can do it for sure. I think most people are scared of doing it. My brother has done them for years. Well, I've done them. So yeah, it's not a big deal.
Good to know. Good to know. And Mike says, have you started designing an electric 602, Steve?
No.
Oh, that's a spare time project. Spare time.
No, it's not Formula One quite yet, so we don't need hybrid shit.
Yeah. What'd you think of that Formula One race?
Oh, I thought it was fucking awesome. Verstappen won. So
yeah, I know he's your favorite.
Yeah. I'm a huge Verstappen fan. I like a dude who actually takes racing serious. So,
and I think he takes everything seriously.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But he's also funny, though. I mean, his wit is...
Well, yeah, because I don't know, he just doesn't pull any punches.
No.
So, yeah, I'm a huge Verstappen fan, and not just because he won the championship, not a bandwagon guy. I've loved that kid since he freaking started racing Formula One at 16. So, no, he's a badass. That being said, I do also like Leclerc and Carlos Sainz.
I like those guys.